Good evening and welcome to the concluding event of the 5th cycle of the Geoffrey Bawa Awards for Excellence in Architecture. My name is Roland Silva and I'm the Curator of Collections at the Geoffrey Bawa Trust. To kick off our program this evening, I invite our trustee Suhanya Raffel, who is also the Executive Director at NPAS Museum in Hong Kong, to deliver tonight's welcome address.
Hello and welcome to the award ceremony of the 5th cycle of the Geoffrey Bawa Awards for Excellence in Architecture in Sri Lanka. I am Suhanya Raffel, trustee of the Geoffrey Bawa and Lunuganga Trusts. Established by Bawa in 1982 and 1993 respectively, the Trust's objectives are to further the fields of architecture, fine arts, and ecological and environmental studies, while also preserving and managing the legacy of Bawa's estates for the public. Initiated in 2007, the Geoffrey Bawa Awards for Excellence in Architecture are an important recognition of the significant creative architecture that is being practiced in Sri Lanka today. Conducted usually over a 3-year cycle, this time, due to the COVID-19 global pandemic, we delayed the award ceremony by a year in the hope that the world would have recovered sufficiently for all of us to have been able to gather and celebrate together. Unfortunately, that has not been the case, so we are now gathering virtually to complete the final steps of the awards. So I thank you all for your patience given this situation. For the Trust, these awards are a very important part of our work as we champion the work of contemporary architecture while ensuring that an eminent jury brings insight, knowledge, and perspectives to the selections and shortlisting. I would like to acknowledge and thank our jury, and as usual, we include a key expert international figure, this time Professor Barry Bergdahl, the Mayer Shapiro Professor of Art History at the Department of Art History and Archaeology at Columbia University. Prior to that, he served as the Philip Johnson Chief Curator of Architecture and Design at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. Thank you too to architect Baranjan Kurukulasurya, past president of the Sri Lanka Institute of Architects and the chairman of the City School of Architecture. The Trust always includes on the jury an eminent member of our community with a keen interest in architecture and the arts. And this time, I thank Swarna Malabararachi, the award-winning Sri Lankan actress who has starred in over 65 films, winning Best Actress Award 28 times. She was also made UNHCR Ambassador for Women's Rights in Sri Lanka in 2004. And finally, I extend my thanks to trustee Nadija Tambaya for participating as chair of the jury for this cycle of the awards. Of course, at the core of the ceremony are the shortlisted awardees who I congratulate for their superb work and look forward to hearing more of their work during this ceremony. I must also acknowledge and thank all those architects who entered their work for consideration for this cycle. I am encouraged and encourage all of you in your work and can see how active and creative the field is, which is an affirmation in and of itself. We also use this occasion to acknowledge senior members of our creative community who have, over their lifetimes, made enormous, rich contributions to our cultural life. The Geoffrey Bawa Lifetime Achievement Awards are a celebration and recognition of just that, and I congratulate our 3 awardees tonight for their consistent, generous, brilliant work. We have also, since the last awards of 2016 to 2018, done much at the Trust to expand our activities. This was especially so when we celebrated Geoffrey Bawa's 100th birthday through a year-long program starting from mid 2019. This was exhibitions, events, symposia, lectures, and the oral histories program through which we crystallized the key elements of the Bawa 100 program. We could not have achieved this extensive program without the support of a visionary group of international individuals who gave so generously to the Trust. Together with the Bawa 100 program, we have also begun the process of opening up the Bawa archive, while continuing to enhance and address the Trust objectives through a raft of programs for the public. It is a pleasure now to welcome you all to participate in this 5th award cycle celebration. Thank you.
Thank you, Sohanya. We now use this occasion to felicitate 3 exceptional individuals who have contributed in unique and valuable ways throughout their lifetimes to architecture and related fields. These individuals are Dr. Kandasamy Pulagasundram, Lucky Sinanayaka, and Dr. Roland Silva. Unfortunately, 2 of this year's recipients of the Lifetime Achievement Award are no longer with us. I'm pleased to say, however, that we were able to inform Lucky that he would be receiving this award prior to his passing in May this year. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating our 3 Lifetime Achievement Award winners. Dr. K. Pulagasundram is a 2021 recipient of the Geoffrey Bawa Award for Lifetime Contribution to Architecture in Sri Lanka. It is awarded for his preeminent contribution to the fields of architecture and engineering, through which he paved the ground for generations of Sri Lankan architects and engineers to innovate and adapt to local contexts. It recognizes Dr. K. Pulagasundram's long-standing partnership with Geoffrey Bawa at Edwards, Reed and Begg, spanning 3 decades, and his vital role in steering the practice through success, and his pioneering structural design work, which includes the structures at Benthata Beach Hotel, the Rohan University, and the new Sri Lankan Parliament. It acknowledges his long-standing support of Geoffrey Bawa and his namesake trust, of which Dr. Pulagasundram was a founding trustee. Lucky Sinanayaka is a 2021 recipient of the Geoffrey Bawa Award for Lifetime Contribution to Architecture in Sri Lanka. It is awarded for his singular contribution to the fields of art and architecture in the country, through which he influenced generations of Sri Lankan makers. His untiring innovations and explorations addressed environmental and social challenges in Sri Lanka in novel and thoughtful ways. This award recognizes Lucky's work at sites including the mural at Lunagaga, the chandelier in the chamber of the new Sri Lankan Parliament building, the owl sculpture at Kandalama, and the stair at the Lighthouse Hotel, and his integral role in Geoffrey Bawa's architectural practice. It acknowledges Lucky's manner of drawing architecture, which played a key role in the visual language of the drawings at Edwards, Reed and Begg, and his vital role in the publication titled The Architecture of an Island, which remains a key text on Sri Lankan vernacular architecture. Dr. Roland Silva is a 2021 recipient of the Geoffrey Bawa Award for Lifetime Contribution to Architecture in Sri Lanka. It is awarded for his preeminent contribution to the fields of architecture and archaeology, through which he paved the ground for generations of Sri Lankan architects and archaeologists to pursue inquiry and scholarship. It recognizes Dr. Roland Silva's role as the former Commissioner of Archaeology from 1983 to 1990, and as the pioneer founder Director General of the Central Cultural Fund, which implemented the UNESCO Sri Lanka project of the Cultural Triangle. Dr. Silva was the former Chancellor of the University of Moratuwa, former President of the World Body of Conservators, the first President of the International Council on Monuments and Sites from Asia, the pioneer in the establishment of the Postgraduate Institute of Archaeology, and the pioneer founder, President of the National Trust of Sri Lanka. It acknowledges his role as an inspiring and instrumental teacher of architecture and archaeology, and his key writings on these subjects. I now invite the Trust Chairperson, Channa Baswatha, to present the awards to our three recipients. Channa was the last partner at Geoffrey Bawa and Associates and is a principal of MICD Associates. Channa, over to you.
To the recipients of this year's Lifetime Awards for Architecture. Dr. K. Pulos Kusundaram, the Geoffrey Bawa Trust, would like to present this award to you, sir, for a lifetime contribution to architecture and engineering. So, wonderful. Thank you very much for accepting this award from the Bawa Trust. To Lucky Senanayake, we'd like to present this award of lifetime achievement posthumously. It is also very touching that the last email that I got from Mr. Senanayake was, of course, to acknowledge the acceptance of this award. We're very glad that he was able to do that. And this, of course, will be given eventually to his family as time goes by. To Deshamanya Dr. Roland Silva, the Geoffrey Bawa Trust presents this award for lifetime achievement, and it will be given to his family on his behalf. Thank you very much, everybody.
Traditionally, at this point in our program, we would have a brief performance of music or dance before we turn to the main event for the day. This year, we're instead delighted to share with you a brief excerpt from a forthcoming documentary film on Geoffrey Bawa, directed by Clara Kraft Ismail. In the film, In the film, you will see Sunetra Bandaranaike, a friend and client of Geoffrey Bawa, speaking. Sunetra retired from her position as the chairperson of the Geoffrey Bawa and Lanka Trust in 2019, and we must take this opportunity to thank her for her tireless commitment and support in her years with the Trust. It was a privilege to be able to work with her, and we are very grateful that she remains associated with the Trust as Emeritus Chair. Thank you, Sunetra.
House, the Ancestral Home. I used to come to the main house, the Ancestral Home, which is just over there, and I used to look over the balcony, and I used to see this building here, a very decrepit old building, which was used by my grandfather as his stables. All his horses were stabled here. And I said to my husband, hey, how about us building something there, doing up the building nicely? He said, yes, why not? And so I spoke to Mr. Bawa. I said, there is this place. There's a decrepit old building there. Would you consider turning it into a home for me? He said, no, he will not. I didn't know why he said that. And I kept on persisting and persisting until he finally very reluctantly said, okay, I'll come and have a look. So I rushed there, put him into the vehicle, brought him, and the vehicle was parked right along the driveway there. He said, "Stop here," and the vehicle was stopped there. He got off, and he stood there with his elbow on the hood of the vehicle. It was a tall vehicle, and lit a cigarette. And I was sitting inside the vehicle, very silently. We looked for a good maybe 10 minutes. He said, "Yes, I will do it." That was so exciting for me. Now, you see that far wall there at the end of the veranda, it has a hole there. He came, he stood there in the middle of that veranda, looked this way and that way for a few moments, and he said, "Look, call the contractor." He said, "Break a hole there." "Sir?" "Yes, I told you, break a hole there and break a hole there." Now I'm completely baffled because I said, "You are not going to break anything." Then he told me, "Will you please bring a cart wheel and a bicycle wheel?" I said, "Geoffrey, are you feeling okay?" Yes. So we managed to get a cart wheel because those days we had, bullock carts, and a bicycle wheel. So he said, "Hold the bicycle wheel up there." Now the hole had already been made. Up, down, this way, that way. He said, "That's the spot I want you to make the hole, the size of the bicycle wheel. And that is the size of a cart wheel." He said, "Because I want to see beyond. I don't want to see a blank wall there, nor there." Because Geoffrey always said, you have to look out from the inside rather than the other way around. You find all his houses, including this, is like that. Wherever you sit, you may be sitting in your bathroom, in your bedroom, or out here. You look out all the time. So Geoffrey always wanted to be able to look out. He said tropical architecture has to be there because the beauty is outside.
The film we saw was directed, as I said, by Clara Kraft Isenov. Thank you, Clara, for sharing that with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now at the main event in today's program. We present to you the 8 shortlisted projects for this 5th cycle of the Geoffrey Bawa Awards. Each of the projects is remarkable in its way, and if you would like to find out more about them, you can go to the Trust's website, geoffreybawa.com, to read about the buildings and the practices behind them. We will now watch some very brief films on the 8 projects, after which Chana Daswatha will announce the winner.
The motivation to build a sustainable, eco-friendly design in Allah stemmed from the fact that vernacular characteristics of the buildings in the Allah village and town area are rapidly disappearing due to unplanned urban development and the growing tourism industry. Allah is known for its connection to the story of Ravana, the mythical king of Sri Lanka, who is said to have ruled the land thousands of years ago. As described in folk literature, King Ravana had been in the possession of a flying machine known as the Dandamonara Yatreya, or flying peacock machine. The design of the cafe UFO was inspired by this flying machine, while the name relates to the unidentified flying object. Almost all raw materials were procured from the area, and services such as carpentry, interior detailing, and masonry were sourced from the community of Allah itself. The project began as an open competition held by the SLIA on behalf of the Colombo Municipal Council to design a new office building in the double triangular land behind the existing CMC building. The CMC has expanded and evolved organically over the years, and the new building aimed to relocate some of its administrative functions and create more effective and pleasant environments for all its users, staff as well as visitors who range from pensioners to taxpayers, architects and planners to government officials and politicians. The perforated screen was precast on a fiberglass mold in homage to a time-tested weatherproofing tradition. A veranda with multiple height columns was created as the main interface of the new building, mirroring a reinterpreted version of the colonnaded facade of the original colonial building. The large roof plate provides a surface area for solar panels and rainwater collection. Located in Imadua in the Galle district, this is a second home and a retreat space for a Sri Lankan ethno-musician and his family. It is situated in the lowland wet zone of Sri Lanka, about 69 kilometers from the Singharaja rainforest, an agrarian land that had been abandoned for decades because of constant flooding. The client wanted to reclaim the land as a weekend getaway from his busy urban life, using quick and cost-efficient construction. Structured like an arthropod with an exoskeleton built of steel scaffolding, the lightness of the structure ensures that more than a viewing platform from which to experience the extraordinary beauty and the temporal quality of the surrounding landscape. The structure comprises 3 main platforms, the living platform connected to 2 bedroom wings with lightweight bridges angled towards the views of the surrounding vegetation and distant mountains. The house is built on a 13-perch piece of land that slopes down from Flower Road. It attempts to recapture the ambience of the original 17th century ancestral home of Mudanayaka's mother in Moratuwa, which was demolished, with a courtyard, upper and lower verandas, and a loggia connecting front section to back. As far as possible, the materials used in this house have been recycled. For example, exposed bricks in the facade and internal walls are from a demolished 18th century colonial mansion, and all doors, windows, and timber columns are from Mudanayaka's ancestral home. Some minor adjustments have been made in order to turn the house into the Cricket Club Cafe, which has been operating on these premises for 5 years now. The Lanka Learning Centre is a school and multifunctional cultural centre where locals can also learn craftsmanship. It acts as a multi-ethnic meeting point. Parangia Madu is located in the east of Sri Lanka, a region that was destroyed by the civil war and tsunami. The rapidly rebuilt village lacked a central meeting point, and the existing primary school buildings were often poorly equipped and inadequate. The complex consists of 2 large multifunctional classrooms, a kitchen with cafeteria, workshops, storage, a water tower, the administration, as well as toilets. The sports area and children's playground are outside. The cantilevered roofs and perforated walls provide shade, protect against rain, and allow wind to travel through to avoid heat accumulation. The pavilion specially used existing trees to provide shade. Very little energy costs are required to run the building, as fans and air conditioning are not required. The Sri Bodhi Raja Foundation offers a school, a kindergarten, an elders' home, and further community services for the people of the lowland area of Ambilipitia. The motivation to build a children's home came from many pleas to support abandoned and abused tea estate workers' children. The TUM Design Build program offers architecture students the opportunity to design, plan, and implement socially engaged projects while gathering practical experience over the course of 1 year. The involvement of the community in Rakwana by recruiting the neighboring people as construction workers promoted the acceptance of the project itself, alongside the close collaboration with the monks. The design of the building consists of a circular arrangement of all rooms underneath a single roof that defines the boundaries of the building around a central courtyard. The organization of the building follows different levels of privacy, which dissolves at the lowest point where the common room is situated, allowing scenic views of the valley and mountain range. The client acquired this property in 2016 from his grandfather, who had until then been leasing out the unit to a leading filmmaker to store film reels. The site, a tiny dwelling in the rundown nook of a deteriorating settlement near Beara Lake, contending with the looming presence of luxurious high-rises hinting at impending gentrification, imposed unique design challenges. The unit, a 1-bedroomed linear apartment with living room, kitchenette, dining room, and toilet, was in dire need of repair, and the owners sought a complete renovation, making it a rentable studio space that is now popular amongst tourists. The renovation project benefited the entire neighborhood by fixing leaking pipes, replacing old drain lines, and paving the neighborhood pathway outside. At the end of the exercise, the neighbours, who initially protested against this intervention, were pleased and appreciative of the final outcome and were brimming with ideas of how to improve their own little dwellings. The Wild Coast Tented Lodge is a 36-tent safari camp located on the edge of Yala National Park in the south of Sri Lanka. Its organic architecture integrates seamlessly into the site, which comprises dryland forests that merge into the rugged sandy coastline overlooking the Indian Ocean. Positioned at either end of the site, the main facilities are organized as outcrops of boulder-like pavilions clustered organically together. Each cluster, which resembles a leopard paw print, overlooks a watering hole designed to attract wildlife. Natural materials are used in tune with the surrounding environment, celebrating vernacular traditions. The resort was built in close collaboration with the local community, including fisherfolk and a rock carver who specializes in working with temples.
China, we now invite you to present today's winner.
Still on mute. Sorry. Right, I think that's all right. So we've come to the big moment now, and I have got this envelope in front of me from the judges. And before I announce the award, I'd like to thank our judges this year for all the really hard work put in by them for this process to take place online. So thank you very much, Nadija, of course, from the Trust, who led the process, and also to Barry in New York. Thank you so much, Barry, of giving of your time to do this for us. Swarna Malavarachi. Swarna, thank you so much for all the time you've given us. And of course, Veranjan, who is our representative from the Sri Lanka Institute of Architects, the past president, who also took a lot of his time to guide those, particularly the ones who are not architects, through the process so that we might get a winner. And here it is, the envelope in which the various winners have been set down. And let me read this out so that we can work out who has been declared the winner. All right, I think we have first 3 honorable mentions. Number 1, the Shanti Children's Home in Rakwana by architect Matthias Kesto, Associate Professorship of Architectural Design and Timber Construction, is one of the honorable mentions. The other is the Cafe UFO in Alla, architects Kanishka Padmapani and R.M. Tilina Ratnayaka for the Cafe UFO in Alla. The third honorable mention goes to the Lanka Learning Center in Parangia Madu by architect Felix Lupach. I hope I'm getting your name right. So, of course, the judges often give these honorable mentions because there are certain aspects of these buildings that are so unique and so important that we recognize them. So congratulations to the architects of these 3 buildings for the honorable mentions that you have received. And now, of course, to announce the winner of the Geoffrey Bawa Awards for Excellence in Architecture 2019-2020. The award goes to the frame holiday structure at Imadua, designed by architect Palinda Kanagara. Congratulations, Palinda. I'm really proud to be able to announce it. And congratulations for that excellent piece of work. We hope you enjoy being the winner this year. Thank you very much. And I think I now call upon Barry Bergdahl, Professor Barry Bergdahl, to give the judges' report, after which, Palinda, I hope you will have a few words to say to us.
Congratulations again to our winner tonight. As Chana mentioned, we will hear now the judges' overview by Professor Barry Berto. Barry is the Mayer Shapiro Professor of Art History in the Department of Art History and Archaeology at Columbia University and served in the role of the Foreign Architect Juror in this awards cycle. After we hear him speak, we'll invite Parlinda to give a brief acceptance speech. Over to you, Barry.
Good evening. It's a real pleasure to be with you, even if only virtually. I would so love to be with friends and in the wonderful landscapes of Sri Lanka again, after an extremely enjoyable visit a few years ago where I got to know intimately the incredible work in architecture and landscape and conservation of Geoffrey Bawa. So it was an enormous honor to serve on this jury for the Bawa Awards with such an extraordinary group of colleagues as fellow jurors. We had fascinating discussions and looked at really inspiring body of work. I've been charged this evening with giving an overview of the jury's deliberations, which led to the awarding of a prize and a number of honorable mentions. Among an incredibly impressive array of projects from across the country, the jury's attention was drawn to 4 recent buildings that combined innovative design with sustainable solutions. In the wake of the worldwide pandemic that we're still suffering now, constructions that engage with local materials and local craft seem to us especially relevant. The spirit of Geoffrey Bawa, who created a resourceful architecture notably in the 1970s, when Sri Lanka was forced to rely on its own materials, is manifest in these designs. Not through formal resemblance, of course, to Bawa's work, but because of a shared ethos. A conversation then with the landscape, attention to climate and to culture, and a quest for creating spaces in which everyday life is meaningful and dignified, something each one of these projects shares with the work of Bawa in Sri Lanka. Planta Kanagara's frame holiday structure at Imadawa exemplifies those values with a design at once of astounding simplicity and of seductive elegance. The holiday residence perches above a fragile nature in a floodable landscape, offering a vision of a light occupation of the land as though humans might alight with the discretion of native birds. An aesthetic of lightness and luminosity is created here with a very simple material palette of delicate metal members, glass, and wood, much of it, in fact, recycled. Radically different is the architectural language of the 3 projects recognized by the jury to receive honorable mentions. But all of them are committed to the notion that the designer learns as much from a local setting, from its natural and human resources, as he or she contributes to enhancing the life of a specific place. Cafe Uno is a deliberately idiosyncratic structure, at once a highly pictorial evocation of both ancient myths, the peacock flying machine of King Ravana, and of daily life in the use of woven baskets, once a frequent sight in rural kitchens. It is highly specific to the spirit of Ella, responsive at once to many incomplete buildings along the main road, and of course to the bohemian spirit of the town, creating a new vernacular of great originality, but without nostalgia. Honorable mentions also go to 2 projects devoted to the providing of needed services to rural communities: the Santi Children's Home at Rakwana and the Lanka Learning Center. Both are structures of the most straightforward concrete frame with brick infill. But from this simple palette, sort of bicolor palette, a place and a community in each case is created by the organization of the spaces, sleeping rooms in one, classrooms in the other, to create an open ring of occupation around a circular communal shared space for gathering under the open sky. The brick is manipulated to maximize cross-ventilation and to create patterns. Both projects were developed by NGOs, bringing design sophistication to a local population who in turn taught the designers through their own contributions of local craft know-how. This is a fantastic group of projects, something that really is a tribute to the ingenuity, the vibrantness of recent Sri Lankan architecture, both by those based in Sri Lanka and those who have found the country so inspiring, as I have. Congratulations to all of the winners. Thank you to the Bawa Foundation for the invitation and to my fellow jurors for the stimulating conversations.
Thank you, Barry, and over to you, Pavinda.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a great honor to receive this prestige award. And first of all, I'd like to thank Geoffrey Bawa Trust and the jurors for selecting this project. And then I think I would like to thank my client, Sumudhi and Amani, to take this challenge and again agreed to do this project with me and with the support they gave me to encourage me to do this experimental project. And also I would like to thank my team and their support always backbone to my practice, and I should thank them. And also I think I should congratulate all the winners and the nominees and wishing you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Pavinda, and congratulations again. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now almost at the end of our program today, and I would like to invite our trustee, Nadija Pambaya, to give the vote of thanks. Nadija chaired the panel of jurors for this award cycle and was the trust representative on the panel. Over to you, Nadija.
It was my honor and privilege this year, as a trustee of the Geoffrey Bawa and Runaganga Trusts, to chair the judges' meeting in this 5th cycle of the Geoffrey Bawa Awards. On behalf of my fellow trustees, I would like to thank all of those who put forward proposals for the awards. It was encouraging to see applications from a variety of projects spanning a very wide range of uses and located from across the island. The trustees would like to extend their heartfelt gratitude to the judges who selflessly donated countless hours for their unfailing enthusiasm, for their unique humor and knowledge in completing this endeavor. The panel has always comprised of 2 persons qualified in architecture and 2 laypersons. And as one of those laypersons who felt entirely unqualified for the job, I would like to thank my architectural companions on the panel for selflessly sharing their knowledge and patiently explaining their reasoning. And thank you also to Swana for sharing of her exquisite good taste. This year, the entire experience was virtual for the first time. For many of us, it was unnerving, but given the circumstances, it was very well executed. So on behalf of the trustees, I now need to thank the team behind the scenes who compiled the judging packs, filmed and recorded videos, kept notes over 18 months, and have worked tirelessly to put these awards together. A special thanks to Aga Khan's Lighting for sponsoring the limited print edition of the 2019-2021 Cycle Awards book, which is also available for free digital download from our website. Congratulations to the Lifetime Achievement awardees. I personally have to declare that I did not participate in these deliberations. The awardees were decided prior to the demise of both Lucky Senanayaka and Dr. Roland Silva, and it is such a pity that they could not receive the awards in person. We are, however, very grateful for the participation of their families scattered across the globe through this virtual ceremony. The Trust works hard to celebrate all shortlisted projects, but we had to finally choose one. So congratulations to the winner of this year's award, the Frame Holiday Structure at Immadur, and to the honorable mentions, the Santi Children's Home, the Lanka Learning Center, Cafe UFO, and finally, thank you to all of you, our shortlistees, their families, the Lifetime Achievement awardees and their families, fellow trustees, supporters, friends, and well-wishers who've taken the time to join this virtual award ceremony. For the first time, a recording of this will be available, and we invite you to share it at your leisure. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadija. So, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the close of our program tonight, and I have just a few last announcements before we all head to our virtual after party. I want to remind you that this is the first time the recording of this event will be shared publicly via YouTube after the event, so please do share it widely. We also hope that you will join us in a few months for the 18th Annual Geoffrey Bawa Memorial Lecture, to be delivered by South African architect Sumaya Valley in September this year. Lastly, we are pleased to announce the upcoming exhibition of the Geoffrey Bawa Trust, titled It is Essential to Be There, drawing from the Geoffrey Bawa Archives, to be held in Colombo, scheduled to open in early 2022, and proudly sponsored by COLA. Now, in lieu of the after party that we would have had typically if we had to conclude tonight's festivities, I encourage you all to join us with video and perhaps with a drink in hand via the Zoom link shared in the chat box on the left, so we can all mingle together. Please share this link with anyone who you would like to invite, and we'll be online for about half an hour. Thank you to everybody for joining us tonight. We miss you and wish we could all be together, but we look forward to at least seeing you on the Zoom event. Just in case you missed the link, you can access it via the chat icon on the bottom of your Zoom control bar. Good night and see you soon. Thank you.